Facing Obamacare as Congressman Michael Burgess of the 26th District, which centers around Denton County. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
A lot has happened since we've seen you last. A lot
Correct.
is going on all the time in Washington. Let's get to health care in just a second. Let's talk about some of the other things that have happened recently.
Very well.
Confirmation of Neil Gorsuch. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, what a great day, and so glad it's done. It was hard, obviously, and there was a lot of conversation back and forth, but he's an excellent candidate. He will be a superb Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, and I'm anxious for him to get to work.
And what do you think about changing the Senate rules, which will change them forever?
Certainly could, and of course the die had been cast in a previous Congress when Harry Reid was the majority leader, and other judicial appointments, non-Supreme Court appointments, were approved with a simple majority vote. Certainly we saw that with the approval of President Trump's cabinet. Historically, that had been a 60-vote margin, but this year it was not because, again, Harry Reid had changed the rules in a previous Congress. So the Senate may look a little bit more like the House now. As a House guy, I'm okay with that. That's a good thing. We'll see obviously there will be another Supreme Court confirmation that happens sometime, and we'll see what happens, whether they go back to the 60-vote threshold or whether it's a simple majority vote confirmation. But today, am I glad Neil Gorsuch is on the court? You bet I am. And we've got a full nine justices again, and this is a good thing. The country is better for it.
It shows you that elections matter. That was an issue in the 2016 presidential campaign. So, but let me ask you about the military strike against Assad in Syria. Right thing to do, you think?
Yes, I think so.
And how was it executed? You like that?
You know, in 2013, we faced a similar situation. Actually, probably more people were killed in that poison gas attack that Bashar Assad placed on his own people. And I just can't understand how someone leading a country can do this to their own population. But nevertheless, in 2013, President Obama was asking the Congress for permission to do this type of activity. We said, well, what comes next? And you'll recall in that discussion then Secretary Kerry and the Russian foreign minister agreed that then Russia would take responsibility for getting rid of the chemical weapons in Syria. Apparently that didn't happen. Yeah. So now we have what we have. Are the United States interests threatened by what happened with Bashar Assad's attack last week? You bet they are, because we have people in the area. Now, some might argue whether we should or we shouldn't, but we do, and I think it was in the United States' interest. The next step, though, is critically important. The president has the ability for a first strike where he feels American interests are threatened. He responded what I think is correctly. He has informed the Congress. We shouldn't be home. We should be there. The president needs an authorization for use of military force for whatever happens next. We need to see the intelligence. We need to have the meetings. We need to have the debate. It needs to be full and public on the floor of the House, the part that can be. And then we all need to put our cards in and say yes or no, because our military men and women deserve nothing less.
And if you are convinced, will you vote to allow that authorization? Are you there yet?
No, but I want us to have, we need to have, you can't continue to run things off a 2001 authorization. Gromer, I've been in Congress for, 15 years now. I mean, it's a long time. I have never voted on an authorization for use of military force. Probably the most significant vote that any member of Congress can make is the decision to send our men and women in the military into battle. We have never done that because we've been using old ones that have just sort of persisted since the 9/11 attacks in 2001.
So even though you did not have a say in this strike, you approve of it, and you believe that he did the right thing.
The president has the ability to respond if America's interests are threatened. I want that to happen. The president was pretty clear during the campaign that he's not going to tell you what he's going to do. He values the element of surprise. I think the world is perhaps having a different conversation today because of the actions that the president took the other night. I think that North Korea may be recalculating some of their activities. The president and Chinese President Xi were meeting this weekend. Some of those conversations may have gone differently. This was an important activity for the president to take. Had they asked me ahead of time, I might have counseled differently.
Okay.
But the fact that it has happened, the president did appropriately inform the Congress. We need to go back and do our work now.
Okay, so we're running out of time, and we do need to talk about health care. Let's talk about what you're working on right now to try to get something passed.
Well, the bill that is before the Congress is the bill that passed through our committee that's called the American Health Care Act. The people who dislike it on the left say that it does too much. It restricts things too much in the Affordable Care Act. The people on the right who don't like it say it doesn't rip every aspect, every syllable of Obamacare out of the books. But the fact of the matter is, it is a way forward. We're working under reconciliation rules. Once again, that 51-vote majority in the Senate. We can pass a bill in the House with 50% plus one. The Senate, of course, has that 60-vote threshold, unless it's a budgetary item. This now is a budgetary item because of reconciliation rules, but you've got to get it over to the Senate. Now, several senators have said they don't like what we're doing. Fine, fine. Take what we've done, modify it, make it better, in your opinion, and then let's bring it back to the House.
Is there a solution? Because what has happened, and you see this, everybody has some sort of problem. When you modify it, when you change it, it offends someone else, another group, whether it's the Freedom Caucus, Democrats, moderates. Is there a solution?
Yes.
What is it? I mean, me, you, and Chris, we can all go into business together if you can find a solution, because we can sell it and make a lot of money, right?
Well,
what's the solution here?
What we heard from our nation's governors in January, when we sort of all did a round table about the way forward on this, and they're crying for more flexibility. Give us the ability to do things. So the fact that states are different is a good thing. The fact that states are the laboratories of democracy is a good thing. The governors need the flexibility. Need to go to HHS and say, Mother, may I, every time they're seeking a waiver. Look at the fight they're having in our state legislature right now over the budget battles, and it's largely because of the expense of Medicaid, because they have to get waivers to do things the right way to take care of Texans. It shouldn't be that hard. It should be much more straightforward. Now, the bill that was going to be before the House, before it was pulled down, had major entitlement reform in the form of Medicaid restructuring, giving power back to the states, what people have said they have wanted for some time. There was one of the things that really excited me was this patient and state stability fund that would allow states additional dollars to do innovative things. A lot of people have talked about the silent risk pools or the hybrid risk pool reinsurance like the state of Maine has done. I think that's a good product. Okay. I'd like to see the states in charge of that, not the federal government. So there is a way forward.
Okay, you've got a town hall. You've had one recently. You've got another town hall meeting coming up. This one is on Saturday, April 22nd. This is going to be a big point of discussion, right?
I imagine Syria will be a point of discussion, and you know what, people probably